Hello from Slide Nerd and hello from Weebs. What's up, folks? In the last bit, I was talking about activity lifecycle. We tried to get into the details of activities and understand how they work, how the different methods interact, what happens when your activity is destroyed, what happens when the user pauses and stuff like that. In this vid, I'm going to talk about screen orientation. This is a small vid. It's going to deal with one simple concept, how to switch your app to work only on landscape or portrait, and how to capture that event when things change using some method called configuration changed. So it's a pretty simple bit. I'm gonna go ahead, let me show you what I mean. So here, if you see, this is basically Android devices have orientation. The vertical one is called portrait, the horizontal one is called landscape. Your app can be in either portrait or landscape mode. If you guys remember, you turn your device and the orientation changes naturally, right? So if you remember the activity life cycle, every time your orientation changes, your activity is destroyed and recreated by using those life cycle methods which we have discussed in the last vid. So what I'm gonna show you in this vid is, if you see this portrait one, this is pretty awkward, right? You guys notice that the app has actually not adjusted itself. It is still in landscape mode despite the fact that the device is vertical, it's in portrait, right? So I'm gonna show you how to make an app in such a way that it is fixed in one orientation and it does not change. But remember, this is not useful at all. The user is gonna delete your app if he sees an app like this. I personally get pissed off when people make apps that don't change orientations. Alright, so let me go ahead in Eclipse and show you how this thing is done, and later let me show you how to capture that in your program, right? So let me go on. So here in Eclipse I have nothing. I'm gonna make a new project by saying file, new Android application project. I'll call this orientation test. Give it a package name slidenerd.weebs. Click next. No need for custom launcher. Click next. Keep it as it is. Click finish. So at this point, Eclipse does all the hard work for you guys. You don't have to write anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to go ahead and run this. I have already started my emulator. If you guys don't know how to start your emulator, you can go to Window. You can go to Android Virtual Device Manager. Here I have my device. Just go there and click on Start, and your emulator will be up and running. So here my emulator is still running. Let me launch this app on it by selecting the app, clicking Run. Alright, so at this point my app has been launched completely on the emulator. As you guys can see, there's nothing special about it. It's just a plain Hello World app. Now if I want to change the orientation, I will hold Control and press F11. Control F11. As you guys can see, it's changing the orientation and it's destroying and it's recreating the activity. And as you guys can see, it has adjusted, right? So what I want is, I do not want this to adjust. I want this to keep it in a fixed orientation. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into your manifest file. So as you guys can see, there are a lot of things over here, and this is the part which we are interested in, which says activity. Here I'm gonna set something called screen orientation. For this activity, I want the screen orientation as landscape regardless of what the user is doing. Alright, so for that I'll say screen, control space. At that point it's gonna give me the automatic option. I'm gonna say Android screen orientation, and it again, if you press control space, it shows you the values over here. I want landscape at all costs. I don't want the orientation to change in any case. So I'm gonna say control S for saving this. Again, gonna go ahead and deploy this by selecting it and running it above. As you guys can see, my device is currently in landscape mode and my app is also in landscape. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate the device into portrait, but my app is still going to remain in landscape because I have written the Android screen orientation as landscape over here. So let me go ahead and do that. Again, take your emulator and press control F11. As you guys can see, now my activity is not destroyed. The orientation is fixed to landscape mode, so even when the user is holding the device vertically, it stays there. Alright, now this is not recommended because it goes against the rule of usability, if you guys remember. So now since I have shown you how this is done programmatically, let me go ahead and show you how this can be captured in your Java code.